Everyone, what is up? This is Sophisticated Art Speculator here with my second video. Got amazing feedback on my first video, so thanks everyone for reaching out, and hoping to keep the quality of these videos high and keep y'all interested with just interesting thoughts and analysis. So much is happening right now in the Nifty Gateway space. It's funny because we've had a pretty brutal bear market for the past couple of weeks, and still seeing some pain, definitely still seeing some positive signs. But it's wild because just out of nowhere now we have this so much happening in the space. So I mean, today is Monday, April 12th. So right now, PAC just did a massive drop on Nifty Gateway and Sotheby's. I mean, $7 million there, if my math is correct. So I mean, that's a massive open edition. We haven't seen that kind of price action in a while. Mad Dog Jones, his auction just went live on Phillips. Last time I checked, it was up to 1.6 million, 56 bids. It's a 12-day auction, so I mean that's massive day one. And then I know PAC is doing his stuff with Sotheby's, and then also there's two auctions, the Switch and the Pixel on Nifty Gateway. Both of those are above $1 million. So I mean, if you needed any sign of like, hey, the NFT market, specifically the NFT art market, is still here, it's still alive, it's still well. I don't know what you could ask for more than all the things that we've seen today. So I'm very excited and feeling even more confident that we still got some choppy seas ahead, but we're pretty close to the bottom, if not at the bottom, if not just consolidating before we're able to move up. So today, I obviously wrote this yesterday. I just didn't have the energy to do this video, but today I want to just go through some just a general analysis of certain pieces on the market and the like price action and how I'm interpreting these different pieces, um, and then yeah, just some interesting things like that, and then give you guys how I read the price action on an art piece. So hopefully this will help you be able to like better determine like, hey, I want this item, but like, is now a good time to buy it, or can I probably get it for a better deal in a few days or a week? Um, like based on the price action, should I be buying the floor or should I be, trying to do a global? Um, and then also, I'm surprised, like, still that a lot of people don't even know about crypto art pulse. It's like by far my favorite tool, analysis tool for Nifty Gateway and NFTs in general. So I'll also cover this and how I use this. So yeah, let's dive in right into the meat of it. Um, so you know, last video I talked about that I started to see some good floor support, and I thought that we were, close to the bottom, or if not already there. I still feel that way, and there's just continued examples of pieces that are maintaining strong floor support. So a great one is, Dot Pigeon, um, the Alexa pieces. So we can take a look there. Um, look at the global history. So we've had 7 purchases in the last in the last day. So we have 1450, 1450, 1415, 1800, 1450, 1450, 1750. And if you want to know the difference in those prices, 1450s, these are all people likely, we'll confirm in a little bit, these are all people likely accepting global offers. And then the $1,800 and the 1750, those are likely people buying the floor. And so it's interesting, right away you can see that it's possible to determine, okay, how many people are selling to the floor or selling to the globals, and how many people are buying the floor, right? And ideally you want to see more people buying the floor than selling to globals if you are trying to see bull action. But it's not necessarily bearish to see, like people, selling to globals. It just means that you're in a volatile state where you have a lot of people buying, but also a lot of people, interested in selling. So if we go back and just like look like from 5 days ago, and we can see, look, we only saw a few buys 5 days, only a few buys 4 days, only a few buys 3 days. So what's really impressive to me about that is this is a pretty high mint count, 586. I mean, it's not huge, but it's not low. But if you had a lot of panic sellers, if you had a lot of people freaking out trying to drop dot pigeon in a bear market, you would not see this few sales, right? It's only selling 3 or 4 a day. This few sales and not seeing absolute capitulation, like people selling for like $1,000 or something really low. This tells me two things. One is that the people holding dot pigeon, at least the majority of them, like aren't panic selling and aren't chasing the floor, so that's a good sign. But then also the fact that there must be really good global support, offer support for this piece. In order for people to be able to still sell, but it not drop below a certain price. So really seeing good things there. And so if you're filtering by only sales, you only see sales. But then if you look at complete history, you'll be able to like tie together, um, some of the globals. So I mean, we can see people listing for prices all over the place. So someone just listed for 1688. So that definitely seems like below the floor. But let's look for like, okay, so this person bought right here. So this person bought from Wheelie bought for 1750. So if this was a global, you would see, Wheelie over here somewhere listing, but instead we see the tour guy. So he listed at 1750. This guy bought at 1750 2 hours and 28 minutes ago. This guy listed it 3 hours and 21 minutes ago. So in about 45 minutes, someone listed at 1750 and then someone purchased there. And then we have confirmation that that was a floor purchase. So if you're seeing floor purchases, pretty good sign, especially in the market that we are right now. But then, for example, like Fast Penguin bought this from Derek for 1450. So we probably assume that if we go back, we're going to see that Fast Penguin made a global offer somewhere for 1450. And there it is right there. Next page. So Fast Penguin made a global offer at 1450. And then someone took that right here for 1450. So then we see Dan Su, global offer, 1450. This guy made a pretty low global offer, 1,000. But we know, hey, at least there's one more 1450 global offer right here. So, I mean, we can see that, yeah, definitely there is still, and like, okay, TJ19, he made one for 1448. And he bought, so this guy is doing some good floor buying. TJ bought 1449 11 hours ago, then made another global for 1448. And let's see if that got hit at all. Doesn't look like it got hit. So what that tells me is that there's at least another two guys teed up globals, 1450. And then that TJ guy made another one at 1450. So you're starting to see more, continued global offer support at that 1450 level. And then if we go look at the floor, we're going to see that 1700 is the floor. So there's about like a $250 gap between the floor and the global offer support. So I mean, that's like, depending on which number you divide it by, like maybe 15% of a difference. So it's not super wide, it's fairly tight, and that's definitely good to see. So I'm seeing multiple signs that like dot pigeon looks pretty strong as a piece. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, like this thing, maybe it went up to like 2,500, but it stayed around 2,000 for a while, and it stayed around 2,000 even through a bear market. I mean, obviously it's 1,700 here, 1,800 here, but like the amount it dropped is not very big for how bad the bear market has come. Like you would expect this to be chilling in the $1,300-$1,200 range all day. But I mean, we have seen a lot of sales in the 1450. So like, let's say I'm interested in buying it, right? Just because of where the market is right now, like I definitely wouldn't, buy the floor. Even though I don't think it's like a bad decision, I'm just a greedy capitalist. So I would be inclined to take one of two approaches. We know that there's two people at at the um, at the floor global right now of around 1450. So like I would either, if I want to be an aggressive buyer, I would put in a global right now at like either 1500 or 1550. And what you'd expect is like you could maybe catch one of these guys or someone else who isn't listed like dump down to that floor, because like let's say you're this guy, you're at $2,000 and you really want to sell it for whatever reason, you're trying to drop in pack or something like that. If you see like, oh, okay, to undercut 1700, I'd have to list at 1650. And then like, what's the difference between 1650 and 1500 or 1550? You're going to get someone probably snipe that global. So if I'm trying to be aggressive buying here, I would put in a global around 1500, 1550. You probably get a fill and you're in at a good price. Um, if I had maybe a little bit more bearish outlook this week, or thought there was, some more capitulators to come, I would I would place right below those two people at 1450. I'd make a global at like 1300. And maybe you catch like just a situation where people burn through the floor there, and then you're the next floor down at 1300. But there's no guarantee that that one would hit. But that's, if I'm looking at buying, I'm either going to do that aggressive approach or that passive approach. Up to you, if you want to do it. I'm a little stream of consciousness right now, so just want to click around. Really interesting, and I had this in my notes, is the price discrepancy right now between Envy and Alexa. It's really weird, and part of it maybe because Dot Pigeon said he's going to do some burn mechanic for Alexa, and that's why these prices are higher than Envy. And that just goes to show you some of the weird, issues or outcomes of like burn mechanics and stuff like that. But what this tells me is one of two things: like either Alexa is overpriced, which is possible, or Envies are really underpriced. And if Dot Pigeon is a great artist, um, and if we go back into a bull market, you probably get really good value on these Envies, right? Because this was like 2K during the last bull market, and this was like 3K. So if anything, you think about like, where does this really go? But up, this may just, range in the $2,000 range. But hey, maybe this thing, can move up to 3,000 really quick. I mean, it is going to take 20 sales to get up to 3,000. Um, but still, it's just very interesting to see. You don't usually see that kind of pricing discrepancy where, a higher mint is 1,700 and the lower mint is also 1,700. So that's pretty interesting. But to show you guys an example of like the floor buying, um, like positioning, since we last talked, I mentioned on my video that I placed a global for 2,200 for Victor and Victoria by Ferocious, and it hit. So that's cool. And I actually had another global hit, which is why I have another one. Um, so yeah, if we look at the sales and we go back right here, like 3 days ago, I placed that global. There was like a lot of selling down there. So it went from 2,200, 2,100, 2,100, 2,300. And then price action really started to move up. And it actually got up to like 3K. So I thought I lost my chance of buying another one cheap. But just to show you the level of capitulation going on, right? 2,900, 2,900. This guy sells to a global, 2,400. Then Mariel sells to me, the global, 2,400. And then look at this dump. This person has no more NFTs. So they dumped the last four of their NFTs, or the only four that they had. All the globals, 2,200, 2,100, 2,000, 2,000. Then this person, Nifty Cent, comes in, buys the floor at 2,900, and then we have this Crypto Mite person come in and sell to a global at 1,900. So I mean, the price action here is wild. You're having multiple people buy the floor for 3,000, and you're having like multiple capitulators, dumping all the way down at the 1,900 range. So I mean, look, like last sale is 1895, and this is a high mint count, so this is rare that you would see this. The next lowest is 2750. And who just listed there? Let's see. Bought for 3,650, putting on sale for 2,700. Tough, but that's life sometimes. So I mean, I even kind of not regretted, but I I should have moved my global down on that 2400, down to like the 2000 range. But I mean, if you're looking for, you know, where you can catch some capitulators and get a good piece of art, you know, at potentially a good price. Once again, you got to do your own research, make your own decisions. Like I'm still, you know, liking getting ferocious, like globals here in like the 2000 range, 2200 range. Like if you're able to keep hitting those, it'd be good. Let's see if anyone came in and put in some more global support. Um, so we got an 1851 got put in, and an 1805 put in. So same thought process. If you want to get aggressive on the global, you put it in at 1900 to 2000, and you'll probably get that filled by a capitulator. And if you're trying to be more passive and get a really good deal, you list the global at like 1700, and you think maybe this 1850 and this 1805 get blown through, and I'll scoop one up super cheap at 1700. And if you're getting at least in my opinion, if you're getting a ferocious Victor and Victoria for less than, you know, 2K, I think it's a pretty good deal. I may be completely wrong. Maybe I'm too bullish on ferocious, but definitely interesting to see the battle here. And this is what you probably expect to see. You know, as people are starting to, you know, find the bottom. So we had a lot of support here in the $2,500 range, goes all the way down to 2,000, shoots back up with a lot. I mean, this is a good amount of volume. Shoots up with a good amount of volume up to 3K, 3K purchases here. Bunch of capitulation in the 2,500 range, another floor buy at 2,900, more capitulation down at 1,900. That's a massive gap, and I don't think anyone can say that they've regularly seen this kind of action on a piece. So how I read it, I still read this as pretty bullish. I mean, you're having a lot of people that are liking the piece enough and the artist enough that they're just coming in, they're snapping the floor in a bear market. But then there's a lot of people trying to dump and get rid of. I mean, the truth of the market is there's a lot of people with, you know, big losses that are unfortunately having to dump a lot of their portfolio and take a couple grand or hopefully not 5-figure loss and walk away from the game. But one man's trash is another man's treasure. If you're still bullish on NFTs in the long run, once again, from my last video, my thesis is that like you need to say no to 90% of art and say yes to like 10%. That's why I'm saying no to 90% of the stuff out there, but I am saying yes to ferocious. I believe in people like Matty DCL and other people who think that, you know, he's really bullish, and has a good future. So 17 minutes in, I'm trying to get through more of this without this being like another 40-minute video. So seeing a lot of strong pieces retrace to 2x before finding support. So we just saw Victor and Victoria. It's even gone below 2x. Alexa by Dot Pigeon is going back to 2x. So what I'm saying is 2x from the open price. So whatever the open price is, like seeing a lot of pieces retrace to that 2x level. Deja Vu even had a sale down at like 1,200. That's almost 2x from 5K from Deja Vu. So seeing that constant theme. If that's the case, then Bitcoin Angel could potentially retrace to like 1,500, which would be very interesting. Would probably break a lot of people's hearts, but also create a buying opportunity for some other people as well. So keep an eye on Bitcoin Angel. And I wrote this yesterday afternoon. You know, it's still having more seesawing in the price. But yeah, Deja Vu, very interesting to see the price divergence in that as well. And let me pull that up really quick. So we see Deja Vu, it had, you know, a good amount of sales in like the 1,400 to 1,500 range, and then saw it dropping pretty hard here from like 1388 to 1350 to 1250 to 1200. And now the last one was sold for 1425. So these low ones are globals. So all right here pretty much is globals, I'm pretty sure. I know Gerard is doing globals, and maybe these ones are globals. And then this one's a floor buy. So once again, interesting to see that floor buy come in today. I think that's a good sign. You know, Mad Dog Jones auctions already up to 1.6. So that's good to see. But what's interesting is, and I'm not sure if this highest active bid is on everything. I'm not sure that's true. Let's see. Global offer, like, yeah, 1150. Um, I think that is just on one piece. So we have a lot of globals in like the 11K range. But if we look at the floor, so I wrote this note when 1200 was the last buy. But look at that. Like before that 1450 piece, the globals were going for 12K. Now this thing's up to 16K. So once again, seeing that divergence between where the globals are selling for and where people are listing at the floors. And I think that uh, in the short term, the more that you see that divergence at the bottom of a market, that's at least a flat or bullish indicator. It's not a bearish indicator, but what you need to see for it to become a bullish indicator is you need to see the floor hold and the global offers start to tighten up. So that's the sign I'm looking for. Like, okay, gears are on. We're back in a bull. That would be like deja vu holding here at 1640, and the globals are down at 11. You start to see the globals come 12, 13, 14, then maybe one of those hits, right? And then more at 14, right? And like once that tightens on a lot of different pieces, probably a good bull sign. I won't show it, but saw the same thing with City Hands as well. Thought that was interesting. Covered the weird pricing relationship between Dot Pigeon and Envy. And once again, just reiterating that 90% of art or 95% of art on Nifty Gateway is going to eventually go to zero, in my opinion, the longer you draw out a time horizon. So really focus on what do you think is the top 10% or the top 5% of art, and that's the art that you should be buying. That's the art that you should, that's how you should be pivoting your portfolio. That's just my opinion. Um, Karma Chameleon showing strong floor support for a high min account. I wrote that on Sunday. Today we had some wicked price action on Karma Chameleon. So let's take a look at that. And we're using Crypto Art Pulse right now. But look at the Karmas. This is all today. All this action right here. But look right here. 5 hours ago, it slipped below $1,000. It went to like 908, 958. 890, 890. So just saw some real capitulation in the Karma Chameleons. But Wisby came in, bought some other people bought some, and they've driven it, back up to the 1100 to 1200 range. But very high mint count, 1200. Still impressed that this, piece is still holding the floor. I think one of the struggles, and someone mentioned this correctly in Nifty Gateway Discord, but Karma struggled because like it got pumped a lot, and pumps get bought by flippers and like noobs, and they often have to like dump things that don't appreciate in the short term because they were looking for a quick flip. So it still probably has some time to churn through a lot of those. But eventually you get these in more and more into collector's hands. I do think Karma could make a rebound, turn itself into a 2K, 2.5K piece one day. But it's got some work to do at the floor, but still interesting to see the price action down here, and seems neutral. Definitely not bullish, but definitely not super bearish. Key missing catalyst for the next bull run is overall secondary volume, still light. Seeing an impressive amount of secondary volume for a Monday, that's probably partly because PAC is doing that massive open, and then just all sorts of interesting things happening. So, you can go on Crypto Art Pulse. This is 20 sales per page, I think. So you go back to that, this would be 200 sales in the last 6 hours. Haven't seen volume like that in a while. So that's pretty good to see. But even last week, it still felt pretty light. But if we see continued strong secondary volume, that would be another necessary component for a bull market. But I still personally believe that this bear market seems to have be ending or have ended, and we're now consolidating. I already covered some of this, but how to read price action on an art piece. So we talked about looking at secondary volume. We talked about the gap between the last sold and the floor price, and like the globals in the floor price, and how to position if you want to buy it, like whether you should be buying the floor or whether you should be placing those global offers above or below existing globals, like I suggested. The one thing I didn't cover here was like when should you buy the floor? And I only think you should buy the floor when the globals and when you see more people buying the floor than you see people taking globals. Once you see that happening consistently, then globals stop working and you need to start buying the floor. Still haven't fully seen that yet. You can see if a price if a price point, if it's ranging or if it's still dropping. That's an important part to understand, like when you should buy a piece. If it's still dropping, you should wait, right? Because it's going to keep dropping. You should at the very least drop a low ball global, but you could also just hold out to see how far it's dropping. How you can tell it's ranging is just like pick a range. So, for faces, like what is faces doing right now, right? So over the last 5 hours, there's been 20 faces sold. 579, go all the way up to the top, 623. Okay, that's ranging. It's sitting within a $30, within a 5% price differential. It's made 20 sales. So faces is ranging right now. It's not continuing to drop. Versus, if you go back and I mean, look, it's sitting in that for 60 sales, sitting in that range. Here you can see it pumped up a little bit and then it dropped back down, but overall it definitely was dropping from like 800 to 900. But if you see something ranging, that's a sign that you should feel more comfortable buying than if it's still dropping. The other thing is look for floor chasers. This really only matters if it's like a low mint count relatively low mint count item. It won't work on like higher mint counts. But like for example, like Victor and Victoria and Ferocious, like if what chasing the floor means is if you see like 2 or 3 people and they're just constantly undercutting each other, trying to drop the floor lower and lower and lower and get a sale. Eventually one of them will go to a global offer. But if you see that happening, like not a good time to buy the floor. So like what we want to see is like when these people last updated their prices. So 2750, he updated an hour ago, but before that he updated a month ago. So this guy doesn't move quick, right? This guy dropped 6 days ago, dropped 8 minutes ago. So you're seeing some people drop, but you're not seeing someone like dropping it every 30 minutes or every an hour, right? If you see 2 or 3 people doing that, they're dropping. That's called they're chasing the floor, and you should let them chase the floor. Put in like a low ball global, because there are multiple people doing that on a piece like Victor and Victoria is going to push the price down. So don't go in and buy the floor if you see like multiple people trying to undercut each other. Let them keep undercutting each other, place a global, try to snag one. So that's how I read price action on art piece. Then last but not least, let's take a look at Matty DCL's awesome website, Crypto Art Pulse. A lot of you don't know about this, so Crypto Art Pulse is what I use it more than I use the activity feed on Nifty Gateway, because this only shows sales and it has just all sorts of interesting data. On the activity feed, you only get a very small snapshot. On the home page, you only can see like 6 of the last sold. On this, I can literally see an entire snapshot of all the sales, where they're happening. So it's fascinating, fantastic data. I can log on this and I can quickly see, is there no volume on Nifty Gateway? I mean, we can see there's been 20 sales in the last 42 minutes. So, I mean, that's not bad. There's been another 20 sales in the last hour. So there's been 40 sales in the last hour, almost a sale a minute. That's not insane volume, but that's not necessarily bad volume either. It's pretty decent volume, but you can do things like that with Crypto Art Pulse. You can drill down into a specific item. So like, let's see like this green parrot island, what's happening there. So we can go up to show options and type in green parrot, and it's going to filter to just green parrot sales, right? So that can be, super interesting just to see like what's happening. Like, okay, it was selling for 200, dropped all the way down to like 120, 140, going back up to like 250, right? I can see all sorts of interesting things. I also can narrow down by a specific artist. So like, let's see how like Mad Dog Jones is doing as an artist, okay? Mad Dog Jones as an artist has sold 12 pieces, or like 6 pieces today, 6 to 8 pieces. Not bad, right? We saw a lot of cats get sold and one deja vu, right? So if you look at the cats price action specifically, 6K, 6.7, 7, 6, low 6, low 6. This is 6,000, but this thing translates into ETH. So we're seeing some volume on cats, but cats definitely starting to drop. And what are cats? A high min count. Can I really see it going below 6 pretty substantially into the Mad Dog Jones auction? I don't think so, but anything is possible. I do know that a lot of people are still capitulating. A lot of people are at the bottom. They felt a ton of pain. Their not so good art is just dropping to zero, and all they got left to cover their losses is some good art, right? So if you're sitting on a pile of poo NFT art and you're looking to leave Nifty Gateway, some of your stuff you may not even be able to sell. But hey, if you bought a catch for 2.5K and you can sell for 6 and pull out 3K profit or 2.5K profit after fees, well, there you go. You know, you may have covered some of those losses. So I don't blame anyone for, doing that and, like selling this cheap. It is interesting though to see a divergence. I normally cats are 2 cats equals 1 deja vu. And now you're seeing a little bit more of a divergence. And I've seen this consistently with the cats, and it makes sense with the high mint count. But in bull markets, cats are usually worth about half of a deja vu. But in bear markets, seeing more of a divergence. So this just sold for 14. This sold for 6. Now we do know that the last deja vu sold for 12, and that sold for 6. So there you go. There's that 2-to-1 ratio. So always interesting to keep tabs on that. Anyways, another thing you can do is you can actually see what specific collectors are doing. And this is a very interesting view if you have a collector you like and you like to keep tabs on them. So like, let's see what 888 was up to today. 2 days ago, he bought a bunch of that Alex Gray stuff, 11K, 3K, 5K. 3 days ago, he bought a Lotus Train for 24. He bought some of the Michael Kagan stuff. He bought a bunch of Trevor Andrew stuff 5 days ago. So very interesting, that you can narrow down into a certain person. So like another person that I saw was Febtoons. Febtoons bought a bunch of stuff today, so we can see, okay, like what was Febtoons up to? What can we learn? So bought a bunch of green parrots, bought 5 karma chameleons. And then that's all they did today, right? But you can see what they did today. They can see 3 days ago they bought a bunch of these C3 things. They had bought some more parrots and karmas. Tons of parrots. This guy pretty much owns the parrot market, it looks like. 1 month ago, 25 days ago. So it's interesting. You can use this view to just, see, like drill down into what specific people are doing. And they can also sort by like top sales and first sales. I really don't do that, but yeah, Crypto Art Pulse is a great website to just digest that data, get a pulse check on the market, but then also be able to drill down into some more interesting things. So, oh, look, well, you can see right here, Beeple bought something. That's pretty interesting, right? For $1,000, days apiece. I don't know if it's actually Beeple or not. But a lot of people are buying junk right now, and that is because, or just very cheap things. It's like Pack just released something where you're going to be able to burn bad art you don't want into like ash coins and then use ash coins to buy his stuff. I mean, just an absolutely legendary move, like to win so many bag holders over. Like, hey, burn your not so good art that you don't think is worth anything, and I'll give you some of my art. Pretty legendary move. Great marketer. Absolutely amazing marketer. So props to that, and it's interesting to see that stuff getting bought up. But anyways, wanted to make sure this video was under 40 minutes. It's 33 minutes. I need to cut down on my rambling, but I hope this helped you guys get some idea of what I'm looking at and how I'm analyzing prices and how I'm looking for good buys. How I use Crypto Art Pulse. Once again, just to summarize, I'm still feeling that the market is at least close to bottoming or is already bottomed, seeing some good price action in some pieces. Do your own research. I recommend you buy blue chip artists, buy Pack or Mad Dog Jones or Xcopy or Dot Pigeon if you like them, or Karmas if you like them, but don't buy the junk, guys. Don't buy the junk. You're going to get hosed. You're going to lose 50% of your money. You got to be saying no 90% of the time. Say yes 10% of the time. So figure out, it's for you to decide, but what's your 10%, and look at the data. Be real about yourself. Ask some people that you think are smarter than you, but buy good stuff. If we all say no to the bad stuff and we all start buying the good stuff and focusing on that, I think we're going to see some real good price action overall. I'm hopeful over the coming months. But stay safe out there. Have fun. Don't spend money that you can't afford to lose. And feel free to hit me up in Discord if you want to talk. Always enjoy talking with you all. Thanks. Bye.